Sam Houston. Welcome to Unfolding.
Dude, thanks for having me. This is
Yeah,
great.
uh,
Always happy to talk about my work, and for people to have interest in it is helps me out. So
for
thanks.
sure. Yeah. How did you get into guitar smithing? I know you were in engineering for a time, right? And then you
Yeah,
said you took a break from
I
school.
took a break and never went back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the probably the most common question is how did you get into this? And I always say I came from a musical family. But really, I think my love for music started at Thrifties, which is also where we met.
Yeah.
And just, being fresh out of high school and meeting people with different interests and showing me all kinds of music that I'd never heard before, like everything from jazz to progressive rock to grindcore or extreme metal or something. And at the time, it just sounded like noise, and I like totally didn't get it.
Yeah.
Uh, and repetition solidifies, and you hear it enough, and you start to be like, "Oh, actually, this rips, and it's cool." Yeah, I'd say that that's really the beginning for me was listening to all kinds of different music with those people and seeing how passionate they were about it, and it kind of got me excited about it too. So that's how I got into music, and then I would say I found out that I love making things from my dad, who's an artist, and we would collaborate on pieces of sculpture. And these sculptures were kind of like few and far between. So we would get maybe one project a year. But I felt like I had all this creative energy, the other 8 months or 6 months, whatever it was. What am I going to find to make? And I just bought a guitar kit, was my first one. It was maybe close to 10 years ago now. So I was getting into music. All my friends played guitar, and it seemed like something that was approachable enough that if someone makes these things, then I could do it too. So I gave it a try, and it played, and it was a fun experience. So I started to buy more tools, and those tools kind of, became more tools and more tools when you want to build more of the guitar yourself. So yeah, and then it just grew to what it is now, and I'm got this shop full of tools now.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the story, and I guess the follow up, question or story or whatever would be why do I make archtop guitars, which is kind of like the opposite of what I play, which is I play bass in a grindcore band, which is like an extreme, about as extreme as it gets. So that one is a bit trickier for even me to understand, but I think it comes from my sister playing the cello as I was growing up. And, the cello was always like the object that I wasn't allowed to touch because it was valuable. And I'm like 5 years old. So, uh, yeah, it was kind of had like this reverence to it, and what I make is kind of like a small cello. So the top and back are carved from a single piece of wood rather than just being flat. And it represents all sorts of challenges. It's like going from walking on the sidewalk to flying an airplane, like 2D to 3D. So, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
partly what interests me about them is that they're hard to make. Yeah.
The challenge gives you an opportunity to learn and it's like an edge of growth that you're always
Totally.
pushing towards.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, huge respect for all guitars. Uh, but for me, especially the guitar I make, it felt like I would uh, stand out because they're difficult, for one. And it would also allow me to like sit in a certain niche, which I think is important. So it's really hard to stand out with like a classical nylon string instrument because they all look exactly the same. And it's what the customers expect. They expect them to look the same. So these kind of jazz guitars going to jazz people that are a little more accepting of different ideas.
Hmm.
So
Every piece is one of one, right? It's like,
101, yep. So working towards that seemed logical to me. Yeah.
yeah. And they're beautiful. Like some of the nicest
Thanks.
guitars I've ever seen, honestly.
Thank you. That's really, yeah, I appreciate that. I still see them and I see all the flaws,
For
but
sure.
sometimes I do look back and I'm quite proud. So it's both. Some days I'm like, oh God, I gotta change that. It's too clunky or something, and I acknowledge that it's a process and that the next guitar is always better than the last. And yeah, I'm excited to where it will be in 5 years because I look back from 5 years from today and I go, wow, it's I went from making guitars in my basement. I don't know if you ever went there. Did you ever go to my old shop?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I had about this much room from my head to the ceiling.
Hmm.
Now I've got about 10 feet of room above my ceiling. So it just shows growth. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
quite literally. Yeah.
quite literally growth. Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
And you'd never fit a machine like that in a basement like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very similar to the growth I've been on with podcasting, actually.
totally. I think
With
any adventure like that, it's very similar.
It's all
Yeah.
about the process, and like each episode I try to make, how do I make this episode better than the last one?
Hmm.
How do I make this newsletter better than the last one?
Yeah.
How do I make this essay or video I'm working on better than the last one?
Hmm.
Not just in terms of performing better and getting more views and likes or anything, but
Yeah.
how do I feel about it? How excited am I about it?
Yeah.
How is it better in terms of, I think, realizing its potential?
Yeah.
Like, I think Rick Rubin's frame on artistic quality
Yeah.
is great, where he says, like, what is the essence of the piece?
Hmm.
And making art the best it can be isn't about commercial success. It's about realizing the potential of the essence of that piece of art.
Totally.
So like seeing, if you have a big chunk of wood for your guitar, seeing the final product as a vision in your head and
Yeah.
doing your best to reach that finalized, like, sort of ideal.
Hmm. I do think that as like an overarching statement that art is for the artist, and people can enjoy it. But I think that if you, and of course it's all about a balance. But if you try to pander or make something for someone else if you go too far, it starts to become worse. So
For
to,
sure.
to do it for yourself, if you're enjoying the process and if you can say you're happy with it at the end, I think that's a success, no matter what anyone else says. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Like with podcasting, I mean, I'm not quite at the point where I can talk to whoever I want. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
a guest outreach is a
Yeah.
challenge,
Yeah.
and it's a skill to work on.
Yeah.
But I'm most driven by who I'm excited to talk to and who I'm interested in talking
Hmm.
to, and like, what can I talk with this person about? And like, I want to get their perspective on this thing, or I want
Yeah.
to share this thing with them.
Hmm.
I don't really care about like who I should talk to or who would be optimal to talk to in terms of like, oh, I just did an art type guest. I want to do like a different type of guest now
Yes.
because people will get bored of it. It's like, no, I want to talk to whoever I want to talk to,
Hmm.
and I want to talk about what I want to talk about. And
Yeah.
following that sort of innate intuition,
Yeah.
I think in the short term, maybe it might seem unoptimal, or it might seem like the path of more resistance, especially if you're trying to grow. Like, I'm trying to grow my show, right?
Yeah.
But I think long term, it's the only viable strategy,
Totally.
because if you're not operating from a place of internal alignment and truth, then you're just going to lose yourself along the
Yeah.
way.
And everybody's lives are different. And I think everyone has something interesting to say. We all go down our own paths, and it's up to you, the interviewer or whatever you consider yourself, to get the most out of people. And that's a skill that you'll grow as you get
Hmm.
better. And yeah, I mean, I think as a new person in any space, it's important to set expectations. I think a lot of people today, myself included, everybody, you look on social media and it feels like everyone is like succeeding more than you are. And uh, you can't ignore it, but like you can't be part of the space and also ignore what you're seeing every day. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But Yeah, setting expectations I think is pretty critical, and you're not just gonna overnight get, for you, a million subscribers, or for me make 50 guitars or whatever. Right? It just doesn't happen. It's a process that is probably going to take a long time, and I think that's why you have to enjoy doing it. Otherwise, you'll give up. So
Yeah, I mean, the process is kind of all there is because
mhm.
each goal you set for yourself and each end point you think will make you happy when you reach it,
Yeah,
as soon as you hit it, it's just, okay, what's next?
yeah,
What's the next thing I'm working towards?
yeah. Setting
So
goals and yeah,
focusing on the actual enjoyment of getting there, like getting there is fun,
hmm,
but it doesn't last long. So
yeah,
what you want to be doing is working on the process so much so that even if you didn't have the goals, you'd be having the time of your life.
yeah, yeah. I think that there will be times where, you've like set a new baseline, and then the next 6 months don't go as good as the last six. It's just going to happen,
Hmm.
and that's probably hard to deal with. But
Yeah,
if, like you said, if you enjoy the process, you can at least say like, well, it wasn't a waste of time because I still enjoyed it, and you can see where you might be in the 6 months after that.
yeah.
It's
Growth isn't linear.
no, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
for sure. Every movie ever and every montage of, the characters going through this big journey of
Sure.
growth and they're, it's the Rocky cut scene.
Hmm.
The thing that's always left out is the self-doubt and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Every moment of that process of working towards whatever dream you're trying to get to is full of doubt.
Yeah.
It's full of uncertainty. It's
Yeah.
full of, am I doing the right thing? Is this worth my time?
Yeah.
Is that, sunk cost fallacy sinks in.
Yeah.
You're like, should I keep doing this? That's basically the whole you're battling that like the whole way up.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movies, it's just that's the thing that's always there. They're always fully certain. They're like, I'm gonna get there,
Sure.
and it's just a matter of doing the
Yeah.
reps.
Yeah.
But that's only half the game. It's like,
Totally.
yes, you got to do the reps, you got to consistently show up, but like the internal battle of getting out of your own way
Hmm.
is, I think, much more difficult because
Yeah.
it's trusting in yourself and trusting in your ability
Hmm.
and sort of having that self-assured confidence that I'm going to get there and I'm the type of person that's going to consistently show up and commit to this because I love it
Yeah.
and because I know it's what I want to do.
Yeah. You speak to any expert in their field, and they'll probably say the same thing. That they
Yeah,
were all like throughout the whole process, even to where they are now. It's like even if they're at the top, it's like they're still not sure. So I think the only
absolutely.
thing I'm sure of is that I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or something I've found useful is like looking back at my past for evidence of where I'll go in the future.
Hmm.
Because like I know I'm a committer and I commit to things. And when I start something, I'm like, I started doing drums, I committed to it. I'm still, it's not like it's like, oh, I tried it out for a year or two and I was
Yeah.
like, whatever, I'm going to quit now. Like I started playing drums. I've been playing drums for like 10, 11
Yeah.
years. I started writing my newsletter, been writing for over a year. I started making video content, doing the podcast. I've been doing that for 5 months now.
Hmm.
Like when I start something and I truly enjoy it and I see where it's going to go, I know that I'm going to commit to it.
Yeah.
So using that past evidence for myself now gives me the self-assured confidence that's like I'm the type of person that just shows up and sticks to things even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And that builds a sort of foundational layer of confidence that you can sort of draw from when you're feeling that self-doubt.
Yeah.
And the self-doubt's always there, but
Yeah.
it definitely helps in those lower moments when you're, oh, this week didn't go well, or
Yeah.
this thing I messed up and I,
Hmm.
forgot this thing at home or the cameras didn't work or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
think
all part of it.
totally it's all part of it. And I also think that, uh, you know, I think that there is a possibility of putting too much pressure on yourself too. And, you don't have to continue doing things that you don't want to do. So there is a point where you can say, actually, it's not for me.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So,
It's all about asking yourself, what do I truly want and who am I truly?
mhm.
And if something, yeah, is truly out of alignment, quitting is definitely like
Yeah. If it doesn't
viable.
feel right, to put pressure on yourself, I think that that's equally as unhealthy.
Yeah,
Obviously, you need a bit of a kick in the ass to like get going every day, maybe. But it just, I think that there will be enough signs telling you that, maybe this isn't right and I'll go do something else. Uh, but yeah, in general, I'd say I agree with what you said for confidence and, uh, you know, yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, like commitment for commitment's sake,
That's what I'm trying to say.
is definitely not.
Yeah,
It's a trap people can fall into
exactly.
for
It's a
sure.
trap. Yeah,
They think, oh, I need to stick with it, otherwise I won't
yeah,
succeed. But if you're trying to do something for the end goal, then that's not true and that's not aligned to
hmm
who you are.
yeah,
Whereas if you're doing it from a place of passion and excitement and it's something that you can't stop thinking about or can't stop,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
enjoying,
yeah.
that's different, I think. And committing to that is like, that's when it's fine to kick yourself in the ass to like
hmm
on the days where you're feeling off about it because you know truly deep down that like this is just an off day.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's something you aren't truly aligned with and you're trying to, say I was doing podcasting because I wanted to be famous and make
hmm
money, I think it would make the journey a lot more difficult because every step of the way I'd have to be pushing myself and pressuring myself to do something I truly didn't
Yeah.
want to do because I didn't enjoy
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
and I didn't actually look forward to doing parts of it.
Yeah.
And like I was just doing it as a means to an end.
Yes.
Whereas where I'm at currently right now, the podcasting is the end point
hmm
and it's what's like the means and the end, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like I do podcasting because I love the podcasting. I would do it for free. I'm going to keep doing it even
hmm
if it doesn't make money. But the thing is, that mindset I know will lead me to the point where it does.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this weird paradox where it's like not caring about if it's going to be financially viable is
Yeah.
what will make it financially viable.
I agree. Yeah. And you kind of have to eat shit for a while until you get there,
Yeah.
until you make it. And it probably is going to take a while till you start seeing, you know, any money back. And that goes for a lot of things in the arts. So, and this included the guitars.
Yeah.
So there's a famous machinist and innovator named Dan Gelbart. And I
hmm
just watched an interview of him and he said, like, if you're in the shower and you know if you're not thinking about a topic, then you're in the wrong field. Like you should be like it should be on your mind all the time almost.
Yeah.
Like, and if you're in the shower and you're not thinking about it, then you're in the wrong place. So
That's a good,
yeah.
good litmus test for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Are you thinking about guitars in the shower?
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. How to solve problems, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a
The guitar offers all kinds of engineering problems and ideas.
Mhm.
You're trying to keep a neck straight, strong enough to keep a neck straight, and a body that is flexible enough to move air. So it's kind of like these conflicting things. You want something super stiff on one end and fairly flexible on the other, and balancing the two is really tricky. So
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I remember when you did that talk at the, UVic Music Computer
oh yeah, you were there.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Music
that's right.
Computer
Yeah,
Union
yeah, yeah,
thing, and you talked all about, like, the engineering and, like, the art of archtop guitars. It was
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
fascinating, like,
yeah,
the different framings that you can use inside the body that sort
yeah.
of creates the tension with strong points to sort of maximize because the tension of the strings on an
Yes.
archtop is, like, way higher than a normal guitar, right?
It's not higher than a flat top steel string, but the
Okay.
way the load is distributed is different.
Ah,
So on a flat top guitar, you've got this about 200 pounds of string tension pulling up on the bridge. Okay. So it's trying to rip the bridge off the body. Whereas
yeah.
on an arch top guitar, the strings are spanned over the bridge and it's trying to push the bridge through the body. So it's really the opposite,
So it's, like,
kind
trying
of
to cave in.
trying to cave in. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So they work in more or less similar ways. Like the way the top moves, it still moves in a similar fashion, but the way the load is distributed is different. And you're getting the strength that you need from the shape of the wood rather than having a flat piece of wood that is then braced up on the inside to kind of deal with the tension.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
they always say that the goal or like the mantra of a guitar maker is efficiency, because opposed to the bow, you can sit there and input basically limitless energy with the bow by dragging it back and forth between the strings. But on a guitar, you pluck the string and then it's off on its own, and you can't
Hmm.
touch it again until you play a next note. So you need the instrument to be super efficient, and you do that by, it's like, to me, it's like building a race car. It's like you shave off weight off the door panels, you shave off weight off the rear view mirror, or maybe you don't have a rear view mirror at all.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
That's what draws me to it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. Like finding those little pieces that you can squeeze bits of leverage out of the design.
Totally. Yeah.
And
And have the thing not explode when you string it up. And it's a really fine balance.
yeah,
So, yeah,
that's just the art of the tinkering process.
it
It's so
is.
fun
Yeah.
and so enjoyable.
Yeah. For me.
Yeah. And that is pretty much what engineering is.
Mhm.
And I think it's funny, you were in engineering at one point, right? And you were in an engineering program.
I'd say I was just starting.
Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I did all my like prerequisite courses to start
Okay.
the program at UVic. So I was started at Comos, and I did all my maths, I did all the physics and stuff. And
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but it definitely felt like at that point in my life, I was 20 or something, or I was actually younger. I think I was maybe 18 or 19. It was like couldn't concentrate in class to save my life. It was brutal. So I just figured, like, I don't know if this is for me or not. I think I'm just going to go work for a year, see what happens. And then I met all these cool people, and they were like, to me, living the best life, which was, being a dirty punk, basically, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a time for everyone to experience that, but there is also sort of like an immaturity to it that you have to know that you'll have to kind of grow up and get a job eventually.
Yeah.
But there is a place and time for that too, and I think everybody should experience it at least for a few years out of their life if they can afford to.
Experience like the uncertainty of being where you're at, or
The experience of being a bum,
ah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah. So
fair enough.
I think it's healthy. It's kind of like traveling abroad. I think it's similar to that. You learn things about yourself. You learn things about other people. Uh, it's pretty cool. Yeah, but you have to also know that you can't be homeless or whatever forever.
Yeah.
Even though I was never homeless, but it's just, it seemed like that to me when I started going to these shows. It was like all these people that kind of looked extreme, but really they were just normal people, but partying,
Living life.
yeah, having a good time. So
Yeah. I was just gonna say it was funny because it seems like, you got into engineering as a possible path you wanted to go down, but
yeah,
now that you're doing guitar, would it be you're like a guitar smith? Is that like the title, I guess? Or
some people call them luthiers,
oh, okay.
like people who worked on stringed instruments. That's a pretty common term.
Yeah.
Guitar maker.
I
Yeah.
think guitar smith sounds
Guitar
cool
Smith's pretty sweet.
'cause it sounds like
I'd actually never heard it before.
sounds like blacksmith, but guitar
A little
smith.
bit, yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
little more metal.
A little more metal, yeah.
But it's
I'm
just
down. Maybe I'll
yeah,
start using that. Sam Houston
professional
Guitar
guitar
Smith.
smith, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But, it's just funny, I think that happened for a reason because now it seems like you're doing more engineering than ever.
It is true. Practical engineering.
Yeah,
Where
different type of engineering,
totally,
but
and it's true. And I always said if I was to go back to school, it would be for material science, which really isn't that far different. And I incorporate a lot of carbon fiber into my necks and stuff, and just learning about all the different epoxies and the way that the carbon fibers work. It's like really interesting, and I mean, I'm probably not going to go back to school at this point, but if I was, that's what I would want to learn about is materials, because materials is really everything for, putting the right materials where they should be really makes a product what it is. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah,
And there's all kinds of innovations going on right now with new materials and stuff, just from watching on YouTube and, 3D printing and
yeah,
all kinds of stuff. It's pretty neat. So,
for sure.
runs the world. Yeah. It's how we make our buildings better and stronger and bigger and, airplanes, all kinds of stuff. Everything.
Yeah. Manufacturing, I think people slept on 3D printing for so long
Mm,
because it's you just think of it as like this little machine that makes little plastic
yeah,
gadgets and whatever. But I don't think people realize the other materials and other sort of new frontiers of 3D printing that are being developed. Like
yeah,
there's 3D printing houses in a lot of
yep,
Asia. There's like concrete 3D printing.
hmm,
There's some like crazy medical science that's like tissue 3D
yeah,
printing. There's 3D printing for like different metals. I
yep,
think there's even like some sort of wood 3D printing. I have no idea how it works. I think it's like a mulch or something that solidifies.
sure,
I like mixed material 3D printing is
yeah,
crazy because it's like getting us steps and steps closer to like the fabricator from Star Trek, where you just like press a button and
exactly.
like give me an iPhone and it just
Yes,
prints it out.
yes.
Like,
And it's a double-edged sword for someone like me
yeah,
because if I could send my design to somebody and have them print it in their living room, that's a problem for me to keep going. So we're not there yet,
yeah,
but we probably will be in the future. So it's again it's a balance of I think with AI and everything that's coming on, I think that handmade products will be more valued than ever
for sure. I
because it's
think, yeah, that's the funny thing with AI and robotics. People think it's going to replace all these
yeah,
jobs. I do agree it will disrupt the job market in massive
yes,
ways,
yeah,
but the same way that people who were horse riders didn't see all the jobs that would open up for when cars were
yeah,
invented,
yeah,
us right now, we don't see all the jobs that are going to be created when
yeah,
AI sort of starts taking over the economy. And
yeah,
it's starting to, but like it seems like it'll just take over everything and robotics will replace all the like the trades and the labor jobs and the
yeah,
AI will replace all the like intellectual type jobs.
yeah,
Maybe that's true for some different fields and some different things, but
yeah,
the human smudge, as I like to call it, or
yeah,
like the fingerprint of uh like that authentic handcrafted essence of things, people yearn for that because it's a source of connection. You can't get that from AI. No matter
mm,
how good AI is, like it doesn't have creativity. It doesn't like its poetry is horrible. It doesn't really come up with its own ideas.
mhm,
Like if you gave a human being a fraction of all the data and stuff that has been given to AI, imagine what that person would be able to create and be inspired by from that small little
yeah,
piece of reference point compared to like an AI, like we give it millions and millions of images and videos and text, and it's useful in a lot of different ways. I think
yeah,
people don't use it correctly a lot of the time, but it has no creative potential, at least in its current state at all. It is really good at amalgamating things into
mhm,
new forms,
yeah,
but it's not actually coming up with anything new.
right. It's probably going to.
Maybe at some point.
I think there's no reason it won't. I think that like my stance on that whole thing is as someone who loves technology, uh, I think that with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that just as like someone who doesn't know very much about it, is that there should be probably more guidelines than what I see on it.
Yeah,
But it's so hard to know, and it's going to change the world. Um, but and maybe I'm coping by saying, my of course my job will be untouched. Everybody kind of says that. Oh,
yeah.
you'll still need this, you'll still need that, which is probably true to a degree. But I do think that a handmade product in a world where everything's made by computers might be valued more, or it might just completely go away. It's hard to know.
I could see that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, it's tricky. Yeah, like if
It's super
robotics,
tricky, and I think nobody really
yeah,
knows. But
like
it's
if
interesting to have the conversation. So
yeah, like if robotics get to the point where a 3D printer or a machine of some kind can
yeah,
make a guitar as good or better than you, and
hmm,
it's same quality of build and
yeah,
everything, and it's can be done for cheaper.
hmm,
There will be people who go, "Oh, I want that one because it,
totally.
whatever."
Yeah,
But I think there's a certain like craftsmanship and artistic quality to your work that
hmm,
like the types of people that are already getting guitars from you value you as a guitarsmith
yeah,
and they want something they know was hand carved by you,
hmm,
right? They want something that they know is like a one of one unique piece.
yeah,
Like um, the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, if you know
Sure.
anything about that.
Wabi-sabi. I mean, I've
Yeah.
sure heard the word. But
It's basically like the beauty of imperfection.
yeah.
Like a lot of pottery and like art and stuff in Japan is purposefully imperfect
Yeah.
because that is what makes it so nice. Like
Yeah.
wood is an imperfect material. It has
is.
grains and spots and all these things in it, but
Yeah.
that's what makes wood so amazing and beautiful, is because every piece is different. Every piece has a story.
Yeah.
And every guitar that's one of one has a perfect imperfection in it.
Yeah.
And that, you know, from your point of view, sometimes when you're making your guitar, it might seem like a flaw or an imperfection, or, oh, I could have made that better or whatever. But that is what makes the guitars so special. And that's
Yeah.
what makes art so special, is that each piece is unique and each piece is perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
And that the flaws are what draws us to it, because as humans, we can see like the imperfections in it and connect with that. Because
Yeah.
if something is completely perfect and completely like stock, there's thousands of it, it's less special because you know that there's millions that are exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
Like getting
Yeah.
some sort of factory made guitar in a store, you know that like there's thousands of other people that have the exact same guitar all around the world.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that, one of the biggest questions that luthiers talk amongst themselves about is, am I making a piece of art or am I making a tool and the tool is an
Musical instrument.
instrument for someone to make art on, to make music. To me, obviously it's both.
Yeah.
But for some people, and people that I really respect, say, no, it's not art. It's a tool. That's it. And end of conversation.
Interesting.
So it's like, and then there's people that have the other extreme where it's just a piece of art, more or less. And I think I land like somewhere in the middle, but that seems logical to me. But like I said, people that I really respect say the opposite, or one way or the other. So it's hard to know.
Yeah. I guess shaped from your experience of
Yeah.
how you view the process.
And for those people that say it's just a tool, that is not a degrading sentiment for them. A tool is like everything. So it's just how you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just view it in a different way.
They
I
view it in a
guess.
different way. Yeah. Not better or worse, but
Cool. What's your favorite part of like the guitar making process?
it's a good question. I don't know if I have a favorite part. Maybe material selection, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
And just to go back to that, like saying I use carbon fiber and stuff in my necks and whatever, learning about other materials makes you appreciate wood even more. It's honestly like, I've heard that on a cosmic scale, wood is like the most precious material, the rarest, and it is. So
I mean, we only know of one planet.
exactly,
That has
that's what I'm saying.
it. Yeah. There's asteroids full of metals.
Yes, exactly. So how lucky we are to have this growing in our backyard. It comes in all kinds of different flavors, different appearances, different hardnesses, different stiffnesses,
Smells and
smells, textures,
and
workability.
yeah.
I mean, we've been using it for thousands of years as humans, and it just is so incredibly versatile. We build our homes out of it. We make our bows and arrows out of it to, keep ourselves alive. It's really, really pretty cool. So learning about other materials, it makes you appreciate wood. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, even like advanced carbon fibers and stuff, molecularly, it's pretty much just like a different form of wood. It's mostly
Totally is.
carbon.
You're right.
It's just a different arrangement.
It is. Wood is basically like a bunch of straws. And carbon fiber is a bunch of fibers, which is basically like those straws. There's just a lot more of them, and and they're laid out in if you want, a perfect way. So it is. It's like man-made wood. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot worse to work with. It's bad for your lungs. Get a carbon fiber splinter. It's really bad. I like to keep it on parts of my instruments where once it's through the mold, you never touch it again because it's really nasty stuff. Whereas
Mm.
wood, yes, wood dust is bad for you, but it's not going to, seriously hurt your lungs like carbon fiber will. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of times you don't need carbon fiber. People put it all over their instruments sometimes, and really wood is better, but it's good in some specific applications, which is
Yeah,
why
I
I use
think
it.
a mix of the two is nice for
Mhm.
sure. Like, and that's part of like, I guess your expertise as a guitarsmith is having the experience to know
Yeah,
where the different materials work best.
exactly.
And that's
It's really everything.
part of the fun of like
Yeah.
doing the process and like learning is to like you gain levels of knowledge that can only be learned through experience.
Yep.
You gain little pieces of things that can only be learned by failure and
Yep.
by making a mistake.
Yep.
Like that's one of the best things I learned about through doing podcasts. It's like every time there's a mistake, every time something goes wrong,
You learn from it.
you learn from it
Mhm.
and it makes you better. And
Yep.
that's the honing the skill of whatever you're working on.
Totally. Yeah.
That's like the science of craftsmanship,
It is.
basically.
That's what science is.
Yeah.
Is it's a process of trial and error and learning from the people that came before you.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and
Absolutely.
hopefully I can progress the craft myself in some way, and people can learn from what I've learned in the future. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the cycle of mentorship and the cycle of like reciprocal knowledge getting
Hmm.
passed down and like you push it a little further so that the next people can push it a little further and start off a little
Yeah.
bit ahead
Yeah.
and that it just deepens the love of the creative process because I think this is something I talked about with Darcy a lot
Hmm.
is we talked about this sort of balance of like the two seemingly contradictory sides of art that people think about where
Yeah.
there's the art of creating and the romance sort of like artistic
Yeah.
free flowing side of it and then there's the science of the craft
Hmm.
and there's the that's the consistency, it's the showing up on the days you don't want to, it's
Yeah.
the struggling and problem solving through different challenges,
Yeah.
and that's more of a science.
Right.
That's like you're tinkering with little bits and pieces and all that. And then the other side of it is like the romantic, poetic, sort of artistic side of it.
Yeah.
With like, how can I express the wood in this sort of shape or
Hmm.
design?
Hmm.
What do I want to, this guitar to say? What do I want someone to feel when they see it?
Yeah.
How do I want the colors and the patterns to work together or something like
Yeah.
that? Like, what kind of sounds do I want it to be able to create?
Hmm.
That's like the romantic, arty side of it. And then the science of the craft, as I was talking about, like counterbalances that. And I think
I think
people
they're
get
really tied
confused
together.
for
Yeah.
sure. It's
Yeah.
like they're two sides of the coin
Yes.
of like creation, but
Yeah.
people get confused about like, oh, am I doing like, what's this? How does this fit into that? How
Yeah.
does that fit into this?
Yeah.
Sometimes people over index on one over the other.
Totally agree.
And if you're focusing on just like being super artsy and being like free flowing and like, it's whatever,
But you
man,
never get
but
anything
you're not
done.
working, you're
Yeah.
not consistent or you're not working on your technique or your
Yeah.
craft,
Hmm.
then you're going to get sloppy. Whereas if you just focus on the technique and the craft, you're going to get so caught up in your head about making something good
Hmm.
that you're going to lose touch with the sort of emotive side of the process.
Well said. I think about that all the time.
Yeah. And it's like
it's totally true. Yeah.
that balance is in everything, in any sort of creative endeavor.
Yeah.
Like podcasting or pen and pencil art,
Doesn't matter
animating,
what it is. Everything.
guitar making,
Yeah.
like,
Being an athlete, anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's why I think Rick Rubin's totally spot on about everything is an art and everything's a creative process. Like,
Hmm.
if you approach it in that way.
Yeah.
And having those two pieces working together, I mean, like making a business can be an art
Absolutely.
if you do it right. Making guitars, obviously, making a car, even like being a plumber could be an art
Yep.
if you think about it in the right way.
Yep.
Like everyone, it sounds like, oh, so expansive and like, oh, you're just making everything art. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's kind of what art is. It's like an expression of yourself
Yeah.
and an expression of your own unique human smudge or fingerprint.
Yeah.
And as people and humans, that's kind of what we do.
It is.
We express ourselves into the world. We
Yeah.
do things in the world. And whatever that thing is that we're doing is an art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's, like a dead end job you don't enjoy, or the most fulfilling passion and vocation that, you're
Yeah,
wrapped up in.
it's funny. Like, that, when you step out onto the floor, the produce floor, and you see the wet rack that looks pristine, and you did it. It's a good feeling.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it's people get joy out of what they do, and we were talking about AI and stuff, and I think that is maybe one of the scariest things about it for me is that you know people that are developing these things are talking about how, like, well, nobody wants to be a plumber or nobody wants to be working a shitty job like being a produce employee. But for some people, that is where they get their fulfillment in their job that these people are saying is shitty or not great or whatever.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to those people that get the fulfillment out of those lower jobs, right? And like you said, it's not so simple of just replacing people. I know that, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a big shift, and it's like saying if nobody had to work. That's like the extreme example. For a lot of people, their work is everything. So what are you going to do? Sit at home and watch YouTube Shorts for 12 hours a day? Like, that's not good, right?
No. Yeah.
So how are you going to get these people excited about life if they're, it's like Idiocracy. Have you seen the movie?
I've heard about it and I know what it's about.
You
but I
should
haven't
watch it.
seen. I know it's really good. I
Yeah.
haven't fully seen it, but yeah,
So
I know what you're
we
talking
don't
about.
want
Yeah.
the world to go that way, and
No.
it might be going that direction, which is scary. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Does seem possible.
It does seem possible. Yeah. I think it's Mike Judge did that one. He's a smart guy. So
Yeah. I definitely think there's an interesting piece around quote unquote shitty jobs or dead end jobs. Like, produce is not maximally fulfilling for me, obviously.
sure.
Like, I enjoy it as a job. I
Yeah.
love the people. I love the freedom and the flexibility that it gives me.
It's good for
Like, I
you
can
at this
set
moment in your life,
for sure.
like it was for me.
Yeah.
But imagine if it didn't exist.
Yeah. It's not the best pay.
Yeah.
But
There's
it's
all kinds of negatives about it. I know about it.
yeah, it's good enough. But yeah, like, you're right. There is a sense of enjoyment and fulfillment you can pull out of it. And
Yeah.
like, sometimes when I get into work for an early shift for the rack and it's a total mess, and I see there's like, a ton of like stuff that needs culling. There's little bits of stuff that need cleaning up everywhere.
The guy last night did a terrible job.
Yeah,
Whatever.
half the stuff is empty and it's like, oh, there's so much work to do.
Yeah.
That excites me
Yeah.
because I know that I'm going to have stuff to work on for the next few hours, but then at the end, it's going to look so much better. It's going to be like, oh, I filled it up. Everything's full and fresh.
Yeah, it's a prideful moment.
It feels great.
Yeah.
And as small as that is, it is one of the nice things about working in produce for sure. And you get it, obviously. You were on the rack for a long time, but I think you're totally right. It's like, it's perfect for where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to spend your life there.
No,
but
it's
something like that should exist for people.
It's getting me the income I need at the moment to get by while I'm working on building what I truly want to work on.
Yeah.
And the podcast and having my personal brand and building an audience where I can share value with people and connect and chat with who I want to chat with about what I want to chat about.
Yeah.
And especially like doing stuff like this where I'm setting up sets in interesting locations, like in a guitar workshop is super cool.
Yeah.
And thinking about, especially like leveraging my position here in BC, it's like such beautiful scenery, like doing outdoor podcasts, doing like go to Strathcona and record a podcast on the top of a mountain. Like that would be sweet.
Yeah.
And that's a logistical issue, obviously, like hiking the gear up there and stuff. But that's a challenge I look forward to because it'll look so awesome having a podcast up there or having a conversation in like a more interesting spot because there are podcasts everywhere all around the world. And there's tons of different podcasts, but they're just in a studio and it's the same like foam panels in the background. And, it's like there's a plant and they have their mics and it's like, that's nice and all, but like, you're limiting it down to just being about the conversation.
Yeah.
And like, I see podcasting as connection in a bottle, as I was talking about before.
Yeah.
And I think playing around with the sort of like cliches and expectations people have about what a podcast is and what it can be.
Yeah.
And pushing the boundaries of like what a podcast can be really
Yeah.
excites me to like
Cool.
try out new things, try out new set locations, try out like uh doing music in the background of the podcast, sorts of like scored like a movie, sort of making it more cinematic, filming some B-roll,
Yeah.
doing like, instead of just having a podcast where we're sitting talking, doing a podcast like where we're lifting at the gym, or doing a podcast on a walk or a hike somewhere.
Sure.
Like those are like bigger and bigger milestones to get towards, obviously, because like if I wanted to do like a hiking podcast, I would need a crew to help film it and stuff, because I'm not going to be able to hold the camera while I'm talking and being filmed or anything like that. So that's all like, those are new challenges to work toward, but those are super exciting because that's stuff no one's doing.
Yeah, I think that's great. You got to find a niche somehow, like a way to stand out. I think it's a finance term called like a red ocean or something.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Where it's basically like, okay, you decide you want to be streaming video games on Twitch, for example. It's like, I know, I'll stream Fortnite, or
the
something.
biggest game.
Yeah. Like that's what everybody's doing.
There's a million of those.
Yeah. So you want a problem that is within your ability of solving, but also something that's difficult enough that not everybody else is going to do it. And I've thought about that a lot with my guitars. So
yeah,
I think it's finding you want something that is achievable, and it's really hard to know what is and what isn't when you're starting out. But something that's difficult, but not too difficult. It's like a Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing that, so that's great.
Yeah, I'm honing in on it for sure.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, go on. Process.
Go to other places, and do a podcast somewhere else every day, or whatever your frequency is.
Yeah, I do one a week right now.
So. One a week, so go to a different place.
But yeah, next week I'm planning to do try and record one on the harbor in downtown Victoria.
Yeah.
Because my friend, he wanted to do like a public podcast because he wanted to talk about social anxiety and his experience with that. But he said, I want to do it in a public location because I think that would be, like a cool challenge, but also just like very fitting for the topic.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's super cool. Yeah, let's do it.
It's great.
So that'll be something I'm looking into. Like I need a power bank or something to power my lights and stuff.
Figure it out.
But
just
figure it out and make it work, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the type of stuff that excites me, is like finding that zone of pushing the boundary just a little bit. But the other piece you touched on, like the niche, the red ocean thing, that's positioning. And that's what I'm learning about getting into right now, is like, you can say valuable stuff, you can share a good message with people, but if it's in the same format or in the same style or in the same words as a bunch of other people, sure, it might be your unique perspective, but no one's going to care because everything's free. Yeah. If they can watch Chris Williamson on Modern Wisdom talking about similar ideas, they're just going to pick him.
Yeah.
So you need to position yourself, and you can say, like, the big ideas are always the big ideas. Like, timeless wisdom has been around for thousands of years. Like, the stuff the Stoics were talking about was very similar to the stuff the Buddhists were talking about. It's very similar to the stuff philosophers are talking about today. Yeah. The big problems are always the big problems, but positioning them in new ways to help reach new people and sort of get those ideas to people in different ways is how people are actually going to absorb them.
Right.
And positioning yourself, like saying things that are true in a different and interesting way is one of the most valuable things you can do to actually get the idea out there into the world.
Absolutely. They say there's like 7 ideas in cinema or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
sounds
pretty low.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. The hero, the villain, you have to find your own way of telling your unique story. Yeah. And you have to make it approachable and not too similar. It's tough. It's tough to stand out, especially today when everybody is doing it. Everybody has a phone. Everybody is consuming content. And I think it's the natural thing that, you have some people holding a big space, and it's really hard for people to enter that space because you've got the titans and they're kind of gatekeeping a little bit or whatever it is. I don't know. But for whatever reason, a few people get really successful, and a lot of people, they give up before they get there, kind of thing. So
yeah, that's the main thing as well. Like, challenges excite me because I know each challenge I face is a moment someone else will quit or someone else will give up.
Yeah.
And it's pushing through that, like, it's going to teach me something, and it's also going to set me into a new level where there's less people that I'm quote unquote competing with. But I don't actually think competition is too much of an issue. Like, people think content is so saturated, and they think there's so many podcasts and so many people trying to make content and trying to be influencers. And it's like, what's the point?
Right.
You're you. You're the only you. So like, if I lean into my authentic perspective and what feels true to me and what I'm called to do and what I'm called to experiment with and try and like push the boundaries of podcasting, as I was talking about, no one else is going to be doing that because I'm the only me.
Yeah.
So like, I shouldn't be trying to compare myself to Chris Williamson, because I'm not going to, even if I do my best to do everything as good or better than he does, best case scenario, I'm number 2 because I'm playing his game.
Yeah.
If I work on being the best podcaster I can be, the best version of myself that I can show up as a creative, and like work on my own process and tune into like what feels right and what excites me, then winning that game is how you win against everybody else. Because if everyone else is trying to compare themselves to whoever they look up to, or they're comparing themselves to others, and I'm comparing myself to me, I'm going to be sort of out. Like, I'm still playing the game because it's, it's everyone's on social media. It's an attention economy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still playing the game, but I'm really playing my own game.
Right.
And focusing on that, I think, is actually the key path to success that most people don't think about. Is comparison is useful only as like a litmus for what is possible in terms of quality.
Yeah.
But like, Chris Williamson is a great example because he pushed the boundaries of the visual side of podcasts.
Okay.
He started this whole like making podcast videos really higher quality, like more cinematic. Like, he's filmed podcasts in really interesting sets. Like, the Lightroom thing they used for The Mandalorian, where you can do virtual sets.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's super cool. So it's like a virtual set where it's like a massive wall of, I think it's not even, it's like LED panels or something.
It's not like a green screen?
No, it's LED panels, so that the environment that you create that gets displayed by the wall matches with the camera.
Okay.
So the movement, like the camera can move through the world and it looks real.
Ah, okay.
So it's crazy. Like, you can create a virtual set.
Kind of like the Vegas sphere, but
a little bit, yeah.
Probably higher resolution and smaller, I guess.
But it's like designed for
cameras.
Because when you move a camera in green screen and you have the background's a still image, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like with the virtual set, it's like in Unreal 5 or something. So it's synced with the camera, and there's like a virtual camera that moves with the real camera in the virtual set, and it looks like a real.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
It's super cool. So they use it for The Mandalorian for a lot of like the alien scene movies and stuff. But
this fella you're talking about uses it?
Chris Williamson rented it out for a few of his podcasts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And like, he basically what I'm getting at is he pushed the bar for the visual side of podcasts.
Yeah.
For the longest time, podcasts were an auditory medium.
Yeah.
People were 90% listening to them. Some people were putting out like videos to go along with it, but they'd just be something like this, like an iPhone propped up on a tripod.
Yeah.
And, I'm starting out here, but, I have visions of where I want to go. But he was the one who was like, no, let's make this look as good as it can. Like, I'm going to get cinematic film cameras. I'm going to film in 4K. I'm going to set up sets with good lighting and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he, as far as I'm aware, he was really one of the pioneers of pushing that. And that was one of his main positionings, was like, he had cinematic podcasts. Like, people didn't want to listen to his podcasts. They wanted to watch them and see, like, because another part of the conversation of a podcast is like seeing your guest, seeing their expressions, seeing their gesticulations and the way they express themselves, seeing their face light up when they talk about stuff.
It's like having a phone call versus speaking in person. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like FaceTime is better than a phone call in some ways. Yeah.
Totally.
FaceTime,
it's an intermediet. Yeah.
It's not as good.
Almost as good. Yeah.
Yeah. In person is definitely better. So you can sort of.
Can't smell them.
That's part of it.
Not yet, anyway.
You can't feel the connection as deeply.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so positioning is super, super intriguing to me because I think it's the current, the edge that I'm working towards, and I'm talking about it with my mentors, working through like, how I can best position myself in the space to let my authentic self reach a bunch of people and share value, because that's the true mission of the podcast. That's the true mission of content, is like, if I can help out one person, then it's enough.
Yeah.
And I've already had people come up to me and say like how much my content has helped them
Oh, that's
through
great.
a dark time, or through just like giving them a new perspective on their life or what they've been through.
Yeah.
And that is super cool when that happens.
It is cool.
And it never gets old. And
Agreed.
talking to my mentors, they say the same thing. They're like, that's what inspires me the most, is like the impact, because you never, it's not like money, like where, you know, a certain amount and it's just like, oh, more money, it's just more money, whatever. And it loses its value. Like every impact on a person you make feels like right in your soul and right in your heart. And you can really, it just,
no, I can totally relate. Like seeing people play the instrument, that's what that is for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And seeing them make, you know, beautiful music out of something I made, and they probably will be using it for who knows how long it will last. I mean, there's violins that are 400, 500 years old. So maybe these will exist in 400 or 500 years, and it's going to bring so much joy to people. That's awesome. So it's the same feeling.
Exactly.
It's like you said, it's like you can't buy that.
No.
Yeah. So that's what it's all about.
For sure. And that internal compass, I think that what leaning into your passion or what excites you, or leaning into that impact feeling. Tony Robbins, for what, you know, people kind of roll their eyes, is like, oh, he's a motivational speaker. And like, he's one of the greatest of all time.
I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, wow. Really?
I'll have to check him out. Yeah.
He's he's a billionaire.
Okay.
Because he has inspired so many people. He runs these like, he's insane. He's a motivational speaker, but he basically started the motivational speaking movement as a possible, like, I don't know. He's been doing it for such a long time. He's been doing it for a while. He runs like in-person seminars and events and courses and all sorts of stuff. And he's crazy. He'll go for 12 hours straight. And he's just like talking like with full on passion and energy the entire time. And it's like, how are you doing that, dude? Like, what's keeping you up? But one of my favorite quotes of all time by him is that he says, I focus on impact above all else, and the economics sort themselves out. And he's a billionaire, and he spends almost all of his money on right back into everything he's working on. Like, he's on a mission to end world starvation. And
I can get behind that.
And hunger. And he's like, I started off with feeding a family one year in Thanksgiving, and showing up at their doorstep. He showed up, and the note on the dinner that he brought them said it was like from someone who was anonymous, but it was actually from him. So he just pretended like he was the delivery guy. And he said, seeing the impact that made on the family that was going through a rough time and was in poverty, and they didn't have enough money for a meal on Thanksgiving dinner, like really rough state, right? He said, feeling that was so addicting to him that he was like, next year I'm going to feed like 100 families. And then the next year he was like, what's a crazy goal that I can set that will scare the living hell out of me? Next year I want to feed 100 million families. And like, he's worked up to it from that. And now he's feeding like, I don't even know how many people a year.
Good for him. And that's cool. Joy is infectious.
Exactly.
So I'm sure that, you know, there's just so many people that have been treated poorly by the system, and getting anything back is like a surprise. And, you know, no, I think that's great.
Tony Robbins is great. But that impact piece, I think, that's the internal compass thing I'm talking about. It's like, that's part of the craft and the creative process that a lot of people get lost from. Is that like when they're doing art, or, you know, maybe they're in a job that doesn't fulfill them. As you were saying with guitars, if you're not thinking about it constantly, then you're in the wrong field. A lot of people, I think, are stuck in this state where, you know, their life is okay, but it's not great. Like it's good enough, but it doesn't fulfill them. It doesn't light them up. They're not thinking about it constantly. But it's not so bad where it's like they're compelled to leave. Or it's not so bad where they're compelled to push for something greater. And I think that's a really dangerous place to be.
It is.
Chris Williamson calls it the region beta paradox, where he says a lot of people's lives would be better off if they were actually worse off.
Mm.
Because if they were worse off, it would propel them to make a change
Like
to,
hitting rock bottom.
yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
would push them into something like that they actually want to do and lights
Yep.
them up.
Yep.
And that is sitting in region beta is one of the things that kind of scares me the most.
Okay.
Is I can see, like, I love the coworkers at Thrifties, and a lot of the people there, I can see the unfulfillment
Yeah.
sort of leaking through them.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for me. Like, I I want them to find something that fulfills them, but like I know that that's a journey they're gonna have to go on their own,
Yeah.
and it's not something I can sort of like.
Yeah, and it's almost rude to point
Yeah,
it out.
it's rude to insinuate that like
Yeah, I
they're not
agree. I saw the same thing when
fulfilled.
I was there.
They'll joke about, oh, I want to go home, or they'll you know talking about how, oh, today's my Friday or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
the common workplace talk where it's joking on the surface, but you know that it's really like uh, a deep rooted sense of unfulfillment, and
Mhm.
it's definitely hard to sit with sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful for it because it's a good reminder for me of like what I'm working towards and where I
Yep.
want to go.
You can
And
you
what I
can
want
do
to help
both.
people get out of
Yeah,
as
you
well.
can do both, which is what I did. I was
Yeah.
building guitars, half the time. I was working in Thrifties part-time. It sounds like you're doing the same thing with the podcast. So you're
At the
doing the
moment, yeah.
podcast on the weekends, whatever. I think
Every
that's
spare
great.
moment I have
Totally. But staying there for too long, it's also not good. So you can get stagnant with things.
can be draining.
Yeah, totally. So it's a balance, like everything. I mean, that seems to be like the anchor of our conversation is, and with everything, it's like you need to have a balance. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I think people can hear balance and they think of it as like compromise or settling.
Hmm.
But balance is more just like two opposite things that need to work together.
Mm, okay.
I'd probably phrase it that way. Like, you need sufficient rest in order to push yourself hard
Yeah.
in the gym.
Nobody's
You
product. Yeah,
need
nobody's productive all day.
you need
You need a
recovery in
break.
order to like go all out, balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And like, whether you're doing a marathon or like you're powerlifting or something,
Yeah.
or even if you're just trying to stay healthy and fit, like
Yeah.
showing up to put in enough effort in the gym,
Yeah.
you need a sufficient amount of rest.
Yeah.
and you
Try
need a
lifting
sufficient-
weights for 8 hours a day and
Yeah.
see where your
So like you
your
need
body
to
will be.
rest hard
Yeah.
and push yourself hard.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's not, when people say, oh, live a balanced life, I think, like people will say someone's training to be a bodybuilder or something,
Mhm.
or they're really pushing themselves hard at something, like, dude, you need to live a little, like balance your life out and stuff.
Oh, okay.
What they don't realize is that, like, sure, I'm pushing hard in this area, but I'm also resting hard.
Okay.
Like, sure, I'm working through all of these things, but I'm also like spending time in silence, going on walks or reading.
Mhm.
Like, I'm slowing down at the same time as I'm pushing
Yeah.
and speeding up. And that seems sort of paradoxical, where
Right.
it's like, the best athletes in the world, they push, they train,
Yes.
they do all this stuff, they push themselves a lot, but they also rest incredibly hard. Like, they'll
Mm.
have probably like a day or two a week where they literally do absolutely nothing. They're just eating
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
and like chilling out and like letting their body recover. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to show up as the best possible, like, peak of your game,
Right.
top tier performance.
It's a tricky subject because I think that the obsession that's required to be the best isn't healthy.
Mm. Yeah.
So how do you get around that? But you want to be the best. So what do you do?
Yeah.
And I haven't figured that out yet, so I can't really say much more on it. But
I think it depends on where you're fueling the goal.
mm,
If you really want to get somewhere and you're doing it from a place of insufficiency or running away from your past, or I'm going to prove it to like the kids that doubted me in high school or whatever,
yeah,
that may work for a time, but it's unsustainable. And that fuel will eat away at you from the inside because it'll never feel like enough.
where do you think that want comes from to be the best?
Probably a sense of insufficiency or
You
insecurity,
think so? Yeah. Okay. So the people that
or
are
being
the best,
overlooked
yeah, the
in
people
some
that are the
sense.
best in their field, you think it comes from insecurity?
I think most of them started out that way, at least.
Mm.
And the best ones have either always had this sort of internal motivation or internal
Yeah.
desire, which I would call, instead of obsession, I think devotion is a better word, where you're devoted to the process or the mission or the
Yep.
goal. Or they realized that the fuel of insufficiency was unsustainable,
Yeah.
and they found a way to sort of switch into it.
Right.
And that's a path I've been on, is like, for a while, like getting into the gym, getting into self-improvement at all, any of the things that I wanted to accomplish, I did start off fueling from insufficiency and insecurity.
Yeah.
Like, I was out of shape when I was in high school. I felt like the shy, awkward kid. I didn't feel like fully cast out, but I kind of just felt like middle of the pack, invisible.
Yeah.
Right. And that feeling, I could see the path of like the future of where it could end up. And
Mhm.
I didn't like that. I'd say like broke, overweight, unfulfilled. Like
Sure.
I didn't want to be there.
Mhm.
And
So it was a fuel for you.
it was a fuel,
Yeah.
and it did help kickstart me into self-improvement, getting into the
Yeah.
gym, getting in shape, getting into meditating, self-awareness, getting into working on my craft with the
Yeah.
podcast and writing and all these ideas. But I think that stage may actually be necessary to some degree at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Like hitting rock bottom, kind of. It's similar.
in a similar way. Yeah, like,
It's even though that the fuel is kind of rotten,
yeah,
it's necessary to pick you up and
the
get you
same
over the hump.
way
Yeah.
civilizations need to use coal and fossil fuels for a while before they can develop the technology to get renewable energy going.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. But like, that's kind of the progression, right?
Yeah.
It's like you start off using whatever you have
Mhm.
to progress, and then you realize, oh, this thing
This
isn't going
was
to work
not good.
forever,
Yeah.
and we need to switch into something that will work more long term.
Yeah.
And it's insufficiency fuel is great. It's very effective.
Yeah.
It gets stuff done, like proving others wrong, and like, oh, I'm going to show them, and like,
Mhm.
I'm going to, I'm going to level up and prove to myself and other people that I can like change and like become better
Yeah.
and whatever. It's very effective. The issue is that like, it's never enough, as I
Mhm.
said, and it does eat away at you from the inside, and you
Yeah.
can't rely on it forever. The longer you rely on it, the worse your mental state is. And I think
Right.
a lot of billionaires and highly successful people in arts and crafts and all sort of like this, I think this is a major reason why a lot of people, like a lot of artists or super successful people, have depression or end up committing suicide or have all
Yeah.
these like internal issues, is because they've been pushing themselves and pressuring themselves and fueling from insufficiency so long that they
Mm.
didn't realize they could have switched out of it.
Right.
And it's not easy to switch out of it. Like,
No.
that's the other thing, is like switching into this sort of like internal alignment, loving the process, being excited about and like devoted to your craft.
Yeah, I like that word devotion more than obsession.
Yeah,
And I think it's pretty clear when you look at some people which one they are.
exactly. Yeah.
So how do you end up one or the other? It's and to have control over it even. You might get to the end of your life and it turns out that it's, being the wrong one. I feel like I've met a lot of very successful guitar makers that aren't necessarily the happiest people I've ever met,
Mhm.
and that's scary. So,
Yeah.
what do you do about that when you can see it? It's tough. So, and it's not just guitar makers, obviously. It's
Yeah.
anyone that's successful with what they've been in.
I think it ties back
You
to,
get to the end of the line, and I mean that being the span of your life, and you look back, they look back and say it wasn't worth it. So that's kind of scary. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think that again, if you go back and you genuinely enjoy your day in the shop or wherever your space is, you can't look back and say it was a waste of time. But I'm sure that they thought that at one time. So
Yeah. I get ties back to the internal compass thing I was talking
mhm.
about, where people who are focused on obsession and feeling from insufficiency are trying to reach an external goal, some sort of external validation, something that's a little ego driven, where it's like, I need to achieve this so
Yeah.
that that will prove to me that I'm worth it and that I'm
Mhm.
okay. Whereas devotion is instead of trying to achieve outward so that you can feel good inward,
Yeah.
it's trying to achieve inward so that you can express and radiate outward.
Yeah, I
So
see
it's
it.
like
I see the word devotion is almost separating yourself. Do you see that as well?
yeah, a little bit like
Yeah.
devotion.
Obsession feels very personal.
Yeah.
Devotion feels like you're serving a higher purpose,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
necessarily religious. Just it's like
Yeah, it's like I'm
you're
a part of this.
you're a part of the movement or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm devoted to guitar making or
Mhm.
whatever. And it's like I'm part of the guitar making ship that's
Yeah.
setting sail.
Yeah.
But I think it's this within piece that I think is the biggest differentiator. And it's really hard to get to that point for
Yeah.
a lot of people for sure. And it takes
Mhm.
time. Like I was talking about with the meditation channel, like switching from obsession to devotion. And it can look similar from the outside as well, which
Yeah.
is a tricky piece. People can confuse them.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's just something you chip away at.
Cool.
And yeah, I think you letting your internal compass guide you is the best way to get towards devotion, little piece by
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
And if something excites you, if something feels aligned, if something feels true and it feels right to you, like trusting that intuition, I think will lead you towards that devotion. And the obsession is about trying to prove something externally that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Whereas devotion is like, I know I'm good and I'm enough and I don't need this end goal, but I'm going to work towards it anyways because, I want to get to this point because it'll, whatever. Like, you still want to strive for these. The paradox of it is that like, even if you're devoted and you're enjoying the process, you still want to strive for things. You still want to aim towards external goals and
Mhm.
external validation metrics, but it's not to validate you. Like you'll still be good even if you weren't working towards that point.
Right.
Like you don't need it to prove to yourself. Like you don't need to get to a certain point to prove to yourself that you're okay. Like I don't need to get to 1 million followers to know that I'm good as I am
Mhm.
and that my podcast is providing value to people. But I'm still going to strive towards that point because the more people I can help, the better. And
Yeah.
like the audience and the reach will provide new opportunities and new
Yeah.
levels of growth and stuff. But it's not from a place of like, oh, I want to get to that point because otherwise I won't feel enough.
Right.
And that's, or the same thing with like the gym. When I started out working in the gym, it was because I didn't want to be out of shape
Yeah.
anymore. But like working towards a point where it's like, I just work out for me and
Mhm.
it's for my health and fitness. I feel great when I do it. It's so I can be healthy to show up for people in my life.
Yeah.
When I want to have kids someday, like I'll get to be the strong dad that can throw them around and stuff. Like
Mhm.
that sounds fun. Like the it's no longer running from like the insecure, out of shape kid that I was.
Yeah.
And it's respecting like that's how the journey started and
Yeah.
like, sort of imagining my younger self and be like, it's okay. Like you
Cool.
did the best you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how we got here. But moving forwards, like I'm not going to be fueling from that insufficiency
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. I respect that. I do think it's a slippery slope, and I haven't seen it yet. But when you start, if you start getting a bit of serious recognition, it's it probably feels really good.
Yeah,
So and again, I think like your baseline starts to get higher and higher, and you start
definitely.
to expect more.
Yeah,
Uh, so again, I don't know how I'm gonna cope with that when that happens, or maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you're thinking that. Everybody probably deals with it a little differently. So I don't know.
yeah. The new baselines thing is tricky because it's like as you progress, there's like sort of stages of growth and
Yeah,
stages of
it feels good
development.
to get the likes
Yeah,
or the comments or
but
the
you don't want to
sales.
chase them
Yeah,
for their own sake.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need enough to keep the dream alive, as a
Hmm.
guitar maker, the guitars have to go somewhere when
Yeah.
they're done. And I've been really fortunate that people are interested enough to purchase them.
Yeah.
But it could stop tomorrow. We don't know. And you know, stuff. So,
Yeah, I think there's always just an edge to work through. Like the challenges you had in
mhm.
your old workshop
Yeah,
were completely different from the challenges you're working
totally
through
different.
now.
Totally
But there's
different.
always going to be challenges to work through, and it's like
Yeah.
new levels, new devils.
Yep.
And it's the same with any stage of growth. Like with the podcast, like the challenges I'm working through now are not the same. But when I'm having, when I get that bigger audience, the challenges will just be different.
Yeah.
Instead of like fueling from insufficiency and worrying about like trying to be validated by likes and metrics or whatever, it'll be like, how do I not get lost in the trap of being in the spotlight?
Mhm.
Or how do I balance like uh, the integrity of saying what I truly want to say and not
Yes.
saying what I feel like people expect of me?
Mhm. That's a big one
Yeah,
for your space.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are at least things I'm aware of, which I think is good.
Yeah.
But it'll happen when it gets there.
Yeah.
And right now, the challenges that I'm working through are just different.
Right.
And uh, I'll reach a point where I'm not worrying about a lot of the things I'm not worrying about right now.
Yep.
But
It probably doesn't make sense to worry about problems that don't exist yet.
exactly. But
But
at least expecting that they might happen
mhm,
is
mhm.
useful to sort of prepare yourself
Probably.
for,
Yeah.
in some way at least.
Mhm.
Because if you just think that, oh, when I reach this point, everything will just work out,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
No, no, exactly. Yeah. Mm.
For sure. But yeah, it's the baseline thing is tricky
Yeah. And
because
it's like unknown too, because you don't know how you're gonna deal with it.
your expectations.
Expectations is huge. I try to have as little as possible.
Yeah,
So
that's a
I don't
great
know
way
if
to
that's a
go.
secret or whatever, but
I find that helpful.
yeah, yeah. I just do what I want. I like what I do, and hopefully people are receptive to it. That's
And you
all you
get
can ask
pleasantly
for.
surprised when things go well.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah,
bare minimum, one person sees it. That's great. So
yeah,
more people see it. That's also good. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed the conversation today.
Thanks, dude. This
Yeah,
was fun.
thanks for coming
How long
on.
did we go for?
I don't know, probably at least an hour.
Damn. All right.
But yeah, if anyone wants a guitar and you're in the BC area,
Come stop by.
come get an amazing piece of work.
Thanks. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Just see the
I'll
shop. I'm always here.
yeah, I'll link your Instagram in the description.
Thank
People
you.
can check out your work because yeah, it's some beautiful stuff.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it was great having you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
All right.